So guys, let's talk some basketball though. So we've talked a lot over these last couple of years about the transfer portal and just how in college football, college basketball in particular, it has been prolific. I mean, there's been full on college free agency. So how has that impacted Big 12 basketball, either men or women? Has it brought along more parity in your mind?
Yeah, Brice, I think it has. I think it made the predictions for the season really hard because nobody really knew, what kind of chemistry these teams with all these transfers would have. I think it's been really good for some. And then for others, I think it hasn't been that great. Texas was picked number 5 in the country. They're probably going to fall out of the top 25 this week. They just lost at home to Kansas State. So I don't know if it's been that great for them. Others, I think it's been really good. I think Oklahoma's made a big improvement. Baylor and Kansas have had some nice additions. Texas Tech, I think they made a great improvement with the transfer portal. So I think it's made the league more unpredictable, and I think it's created more parity.
Normally when you talk about recruiting and building your team year to year recruiting, you're talking about high school, you're talking about freshmen and junior college players, in college basketball. That's where you build your team. And maybe you had a redshirt guy or something like that. And Baylor is one of the more remarkable cases that they have been able to get guys to redshirt. Most places, guy in on the floor, if he's not playing 25 minutes, he's looking around to see where he might go, but the transfer portal, and there was like 1,900 players in it last year or something crazy like that.
It was nuts.
And so the transfer portal has become a recruiting field unto itself. And it's opened up a broad spectrum of potential players to build your program around that are proven college players and they're older, they're less, it's less risky. It's less, there's less doubt about whether a guy's going to be able to come in and help you or not. And so it's like, it doubles everybody's recruiting field. And college basketball has always been a sport where you could turn your team around with one good recruiting class,
Mm-hmm.
And now, gosh, you watch, obviously I watch Texas Tech play every minute that they're on, and I'm not covering another game, but like Adonis Arms from Winthrop, he had the big dunk, that unfortunately Matt Mayer got posterized in. But he was from Winthrop, and probably not one of your top 100 transfer portal guys. And there was even that kind of recruiting list this last offseason, the top 100 transfer portal guys. And that was an elite list because that's, you had to be in the top 5% of transfer portal guys to be a top 100 player.
Yeah, Chad, I went through some stats this morning. 3 of the top 10 Big 12 scorers are transfers. Iowa State's Isaiah Brockington, he's 4th in the league in scoring. He's from Penn State. Mm-hmm. And he's 2nd in the league in rebounding. Mm-hmm. 4 of the 5 top rebounders are transfers, and the top 2 assist guys are transfers, including James Akinjo, who's number 1. Mm-hmm. So I think that shows the impact right there.
And even if you go back to last year's Baylor championship team, the men, we look at that team and we think, man, they were really senior led. One of the strengths of that team was they had some continuity. They were together for a few years before they made that championship run. And yet Maceo Teague is a transfer. Davion Mitchell is a transfer. Mm-hmm. Even Jared Butler signed somewhere else, didn't he, John?
Yeah, Alabama.
He signed with Alabama, and then he had the heart issue,
right. Yeah.
And came to Baylor. So, you can, I think, still build some continuity in the transfer portal era. If you get those transfers and then keep them around for a few years. But I agree with you guys. It creates a lot of unpredictability. And it also, to me, it leads to not getting to know players as much, maybe as previous eras of college basketball, where you felt like, Christian Laettner was Duke, Grant Hill, you knew those guys. Now it's much more short-lived.
Well, that's the NBA's fault as much as the transfer portal's fault, though. But and to your point, though, like another factor in this whole transfer portal thing is the COVID eligibility year that guys were given, because like one of Texas Tech's players, Marcus Santos Silva, came in as a grad transfer last year, gets an extra year of eligibility, and is like, heck yeah, I'll take it, and he comes back. And so he's a grad transfer he was originally a grad transfer, and he's providing continuity now in year 2 at Texas Tech. And then another phenomenon, and this is maybe a little bit, skewing off what we were talking about, but I was thinking yesterday about, you get some guys in that are freshmen, 5-star freshmen that come in that don't ever really get adjusted to the college game, and then they're gone. Boom. That's another phenomenon of college basketball that takes away from the Christian Laettner effect, as you might call it.
Chad, in talking about the Baylor women, they certainly have benefited in recent seasons from grad transfer point guards. They've made a living there. Do you feel like Nikki Collin will continue to kind of milk that transfer portal, just like Kim Mulkey did? And we were talking a little bit about in the pre-show about you feel like this Big 12 women's race maybe is wide open as ever, right?
Yeah, for sure. I guess to address the first part of that, I would expect that Nikki Collin will be a big time player in the transfer portal this upcoming season, not just from guards. I mean, Kim seemed like she was going to go with her recruited high school players at the post positions and then fill that point guard role as needed from a grad transfer. But I would suspect that, first of all, Baylor didn't have enough players to start this year. Usually want 12, and they were scrapping to get 10, maybe 14, so they're going to bring in a lot of people, and it's going to be high school players, junior college players, and transfer portal players. There's been a lot of noise, certainly not from me, about the way this Baylor women's basketball season is going. It's clear that they're not the dominant team. I mean, you don't have to be for them or against them to see that they're not the dominant team that they have been. And that's, in a way, I mean, that's kind of, I don't know if they would say it's good, but it's more interesting. It's more interesting to show up at the Farrell Center and not know, that one team is going to win by 50 points,
Well, put it this way. It's certainly better for the Big 12 as a whole, as a conference.
Yeah. And that's what you originally asked about, was the Big 12 race. And although Baylor started out 0-2, and I've been saying this before conference even started, you're going to get to the last week of the regular season, and there's going to be 3 or maybe even 4 teams that have a chance to. I mean, Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa State, all 4 of them, might get to the last week with a chance to win it, and you might have a co-champ situation even. I mean, that's not out of the question. So I think eventually Baylor is going to figure out this deal about everybody coming for them and them having to play really, really well on a nightly basis, more so than they ever have had to before. Because you know what? Before last year and the years that I've been on the beat, and probably previous beat writers can speak to this, teams showed up and you could see the fear in their eyes to even take a shot. And that's not the case anymore.
Right.
I did want to mention that, every Big 12 men's team has at least 2 wins through about 5 games so far.
Mhm.
and every team has at least one loss. And I think the winner's going to have maybe 4 losses. You're not going to see like a 13-1 Baylor team last year, or like a 17-1 Kansas team anymore. And
I think if you
I
win
think a lot
12
of it's because of the portal.
I think if you can get to win 12 in Big 12 play, you got a chance at it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.